it's Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're reorganizing. So as you can sort of see in the camera, not the best angle for it, but I did end up removing the bottom two shelves, basically, of my books here in the living room. What I had going on previously was all of my TBR books, the ones that I had not read, obviously, on the bottom two shelves. I wanted to, at the beginning of this year, have a completely separate TBR shelf. However, I had like 1,200 books and over 400 of them were TBR books. That has not changed much. I am now over 1,300 books. I'm still over, I think just over like 400 and something TBR books, but we have gotten new shelves in our office and I have moved my TBR books in there. Mostly because, as you guys can sort of see from the top four shelves, everything was getting a little bit cramped. For example, one of the new books that I have here, The Iron Queen, it's a new cover, but I don't even have an actual place to put it on my shelves right now. So, we are going to reorganize, space things out, make it look prettier, and just sort of move everything around so that I actually have space to put books that I'm reading on these shelves. So I guess that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you guys a quick look at sort of what's going on with it right now. Like I said before, most of the things that are empty are on the bottom because that's where I had my TBR books, and I want to space things out. So we had started off with adult shelves over here, and this is part of my biggest issue is I've been reading a lot more adult this year than in years past, and this first shelf especially is getting way too packed, and I was having to double stack things on my TBR shelf as well. We then have some young adult shelves, and again, we emptied out the bottom ones so we can move things around. And this is also a young adult / graphic novel comic bind up shelf. The manga shelf and the middle grade shelf, those aren't really changing too much because of the fact that I was unable to fit my middle grade TBR in with my other TBR books. Hopefully that will go down. That is one of my goals for next year in 2021 is to really reduce the amount of TBR books I own. And then for my manga shelves, everything is sort of where I want it to be anyway, and so I'm just not gonna really be messing with those today. I think that's everything that I wanted to sort of go through, and now we're just going to organize. How crazy would it be for me to actually move my Lord of the Rings shelves to where I film? Wasn't actually planning on doing that today because that's a big move for all this stuff, but it's one of my favorite series and I wouldn't mind having it in my videos. Why yes, we are on day 2 now. It is now Sunday. I got about halfway done yesterday and just sort of, 1, got hot and sweaty and wanted to stop, but also 2, I don't fully know how I want to actually fill all these shelves. I've been trying to do like the math in my head for figuring out exactly how much I can spread things out without it looking, one, too much space out, and two, like, still good. Like, I want to make it look good, still have space for books, but also not have too much extra space. So I was able to do like the adult shelf pretty okay with one shelf. Some of the stuff like my Star Trek and Stephen King did not change. My YA fantasy is now 4 shelves, but I also have YA paranormal that I had put on separate shelves, like 2 separate genres. And I'm still debating whether I want to incorporate them into fantasy and have basically an entire shelf worth, or if I still want to have paranormal separate. I also need to figure out what I want to do with my graphic novels, where I want to put everything. So even though I did quite a bit of work yesterday, and I'm gonna finish it today for sure, I still don't fully know where I want everything. So I guess that's my preface for why we're on day 2 now. Also, I am wearing Christmas pajama pants today. They have pockets, so you'll have to just forgive me for that. We're as done as much as I'm going to be able to be done. I'm gonna show you guys what everything looks like now. I'm not 100% sure that this is where it's going to stay, especially since I still have some shelves that are empty, but I didn't want to try and cram things in different places. I wanted to space things out, but I still want it to look nice. And I have a ton of TBR books in the other room that we're not even going to talk about right now, but those will help fill out these spaces nicely. So let's just take a look. So starting over here, we do have the adult shelves. As you can see, we do have some space going on, and it does have adult romance at the bottom. That's the only thing I was really able to separate out from my adult shelves, but I'm hoping that will change in the future, because right now I only have one case for these adult books. However, I have a lot on my TBR shelves in the other room, so this should hopefully change a little bit later. These shelves up here stayed exactly the same. These ones and these ones, same thing. We moved my young adult contemporary stuff down here, and then over here we have some mass market, like old YA, teen, horror, thriller type of stuff. We have what I would consider sort of classics. My nonfiction, that's all I have. And then moving over here, this is where we have the biggest change, I want to say. So I did end up putting the paranormal stuff in with the fantasy. So we have an entire case with fantasy and paranormal. I have sort of 2 shelves of YA sci-fi. I really want to fill these in more. I do have a lot more TBR books for that. I did yesterday end up moving my Lord of the Rings shelf over here. Buffy's the same. My graphic novels and comics and stuff are over here. And then we have an empty shelf because I didn't have a good way to spread these out because they're so thin and they'll fall over. Here is also slightly different. I did have my Barnes & Noble Classics on the top 2, but I had space left. So we ended up spreading them out and facing some out. These 2 shelves around here are the ones you can see most often when I film. So that's what we have going on here. We have my Jeanine Frost, Maggie Stiefvater, because I just have too many other editions that I didn't want to put these in with the fantasy stuff. More graphic novels that are in a different size than these ones. My Cassandra Clare shelves are now 3 of them instead of 2. I was squeezing them all up in here, and I think we know from Shadowhunter September, I love Cassandra Clare. I'm going to collect like all the editions. I still need to get the paperback of Queen of Air and Darkness, but this way we have it spread out a little bit more. So we have Mortal Instruments up here, along with the Eldest Curses. We have the Infernal Devices in the short story collections, and then we have the Dark Artifices and the Last Hours and a couple extra little things. Then the biggest thing is I did end up making some space on my manga shelves by putting some over here. So again, this shelf here you'll be able to see in my videos. And then we have some other ones here. I still have another whole shelf at the bottom I don't know what to do with yet. And then I spaced out stuff here because these were, again, very, very full. Don't look over there. Some of those are TBR books and some of those are unhaul books. And that's about it, I guess. I hope you guys liked how it turned out. I'm really liking it so far. However, I do think it's gonna look even better sometime next year when I eventually read more books to fill in these shelves more. But I'm glad I have more room out here. And we're not going to talk about the TBR shelves yet. I will probably do a video on that eventually. But out here looks really, really nice now. And I don't feel as confined and constrained trying to fit new books on these shelves and like piling them in on top of other books. We are much happier now. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you would like to see more videos. I do have videos up Mondays, Thursdays, and sometimes Saturdays. So I will see you then. Bye. Basically, I'm saying basically way too much. My husband,